I didn't see The Fall Guy, but you did. Why don't you tell us what you thought of it?
Yeah, we saw The Fall Guy. My wife and I went and saw it, and both of us really liked it. It's a lot of fun. Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt are both great. They're the kind of actors who are just really good in everything that they do. They're really good together. They're funny together. If I have one complaint about the movie is that it's only about 2 hours long, but it still feels a little bit long. Like there was definitely a point, maybe even 2 points where I felt like, oh, cool, they're wrapping it up like this is good, and then it was like and then there was maybe just a little bit too much and then in the movie, so it's like a lot. I mean, it's a lot of stunts, a lot of visual effects, a lot of practical stunts obviously too, because they're really paying tribute in respect to the stunt men and women, which is a really cool thing to see. They're obviously under respected. We've talked about that on our podcast before. So really cool conceit for a movie. Really a lot of fun, and definitely worth seeing at the theater. Very glad that we went and saw it that way.
Did you see Bullet Train or Atomic Blonde?
You know what? I actually haven't seen either of them, but I've kind of bumped them up to the top of my list now. What's funny about that, though, is that I mentioned this to you earlier, but the crowd that we saw it with was surprisingly elderly. We went to it on a Sunday afternoon, and it was even a couple weeks after it had come out. We weren't expecting there to be a lot of people there because I know it also hadn't done as well at the box office as they were expecting it to. So we weren't expecting much of a crowd. And then, kind of right as the movie was starting, there was a bunch of and I don't think they were together either. Just like, but like elderly who just started like trickling in. There ended up being like probably 12 or 14 people in there with us. And after the movie, my wife was in the bathroom, and a couple of them were talking to each other. And one of them goes, "That was the worst movie I've ever seen." And then her friend goes, it was bad, but the worst movie I've ever seen was Bullet Train. and like, I'm sure they were not the kind of people who knew it was the same director. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't that types. But I just thought that was kind of funny that they really just don't like Litch.
Leach.
Leach, yeah. And what was cool though too, they did kind of like I've seen this in a couple movies now, like Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie did this before Mission Impossible, where they had like that little intro video where they're like, "Hey, we made this movie we really like, and thanks for coming to see it at the theater." Ryan Gosling and David Leitch did one of those before the movie too, which I always think is just a nice little treat.
It's interesting. People know when a movie star is to a point where people just want to see more of them. That's definitely the case with Ryan Gosling right now.
Definitely.
I really like Bullet Train. I saw that in the theater and had a blast. I saw Atomic Blonde at home and thought it was pretty dull, with the exception of a scene, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, actually, but it's one action scene that's out of this world. That's like the most famous scene from the movie. And of course, it's David Leitch. So, like you said, he's a former stuntman. He created John Wick. He's like he did Deadpool 2. He's really into paying tribute to that part of, first off, making sure that the action scenes are all great because that's important to him, and then
Mhm.
getting a little bit more respect for stuntmen, which, as you said, is so important and not done enough.
Mhm.
I think Bullet Train is awesome. It's real stupid, but it's really fun.